to this episode of Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. I'm part of Hank Jr. Productions, where I'm documenting life's moments through photography, videography, and now podcasting. And you can find me on my website, www.hankjrproductions.com, on Facebook and YouTube, especially if you want to catch up on some of my past guests. So tonight, as always, I do have a very special guest that's coming on Hank's Corner. Please welcome Moriah Domby. Moriah, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm glad to have you finally on. And tell me, where are you calling in from?
Nashville, Tennessee,
Okay.
where we finally have some sunny skies. We've had a lot of rain lately, so I'm happy to be talking to you now with some sun outside my window.
Yeah, I could see it kind of creeping in over there, but
Yeah.
but you're not originally from Tennessee, right? You're from somewhere on the West Coast. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I grew up out in Oregon, so way on the other side on the West Coast, and I loved it. I grew up just outside all the time. Most people that grow up in Oregon are usually outdoorsy types. It's just kind of bred into our blood. So yeah, I grew up out there and kind of closer to a place called Bethany, and it was a beautiful place to grow up.
Okay. And so how long have you actually been in Nashville?
I've been here a long time. It's kind of a long history here, but I moved here when I was 18, so I've been here for a long time. And I went to college out here and graduated, worked in publishing for a little while, and then ventured out to do my own music. And I've done a couple other little random things in the mix, like I was a princess for a little while and worked at a couple different music spots and I work in ministry currently, in addition to writing and singing and performing. So it's been a long journey here, but it's definitely home now. And I got married here, and it's definitely it's deep in my heart as much as where I grew up in Oregon.
That's pretty cool. But do you ever get to go back to Oregon? Do you still have family out there? And how often do you make it out there?
Yeah, so I actually almost all of my family. I have a few cousins that are spread out around the country, but the majority of my very large family is back in Oregon. So I miss them all the time. And usually I make it out a couple times a year because I will play shows out there, which I can double up as some family time while I'm also playing. COVID times were hard because I wasn't able to see them for a little while, which I've never gone more than, maybe 6 months tops without seeing them. So that was a little bit tough, but I do get back as much as I can. And when I'm not going back out to see them, one of the many family members will be coming out to see us out here. So we do a lot of back
Okay.
and forth.
Okay. And besides your family, what are some of the things that you missed about back there?
Yeah. Oh gosh, so many things. So I mentioned just the great outdoors, which a lot of times people think of Portland as Oregon, but Oregon is a really broad and diverse place, just with lots of mountains and the beach and desert area. I think I just really miss the landscape and the feel out there. Oregon is a very wild place. It's very much there's a kind of a wild pioneering spirit out there, and I miss that feeling. I think a lot. I've met several people that are from out there that are in Nashville now that would probably tell you the same thing. There's just kind of a wildness to it that gets in your bones. So I miss
Okay.
that.
And when I hear stuff like that about the outdoors and wildness and stuff like that, I immediately think about hunting and fishing. Do you do any of that?
No, I'm not really a hunter. I like fishing, but I don't do it very often. And I'm not really a hunter. I'm supportive of people that are into hunting, but it's not really my thing. I'm more like I grew up just camping a lot and hiking and just getting my hands in the dirt and just literally just being outside. So
Yeah, and I
no,
kind of agree with you there. I mean, I have nothing against the hunting myself, but I rather hunt the animals with the camera and
yeah.
capture them that way.
Yeah.
But now that you're in Nashville, you said you've been there a while. What do you like about being in Nashville versus the West Coast?
Oh, a lot of things. I felt at home here right when I got here, actually. It just kind of felt like home pretty much immediately. I love being around other creative people, and there's clearly no shortage of creative people in Nashville. So I just love the energy of being around other creatives, writers, singers, performers. And there's a really there's still, even though right now it's really growing a lot, there's tons of people moving here from all over the place, but there's still a warmness to the South and to Nashville, and especially that kind of wraps its arms around you. And I really love that about this place. And I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, I work in ministry as well. And there's so many people here that are mission oriented and doing a lot. There's unlimited ways to get involved in mission projects like feeding the homeless and things like that. There's just so many opportunities here. So I love seeing that. Nashville's it's a fun town. There's no shortage of partying and mission work. It's like a weird combo, but it's a really great spot to be in for the energy.
Yeah, and everybody that I've talked with, and then me with my own personal experience, everybody has always said that Nashville is just like that. That it's like a family. You go and it is weird until you actually experience it. But
Mhm.
it does have that feeling. And not one person has ever said that I went to Nashville and man, I nobody cared to even talk to me.
Yeah.
Everybody is embraced in, and that's one of the cool things about the town. But of course, like you said, there is a lot of partying going on, especially
Yeah.
there on Broadway, and there's no
Uh-huh.
shortage of entertainment. And
Yeah.
of course, you got the Nashville Predators there as well, and
Yes, which I'm a big
and the football
fan.
team. Oh,
And the football
really?
team. I'm a really big Titans fan and fan of the Preds as well. So we're pretty happy so far. It's been going okay. This
Yeah.
last year we had a little bit of a heartbreak with the Titans, but we were very proud of them for what they did this last year. We think we are still proud.
Yeah, so for sports, usually I'm excited about it, but this last year has been really rough for me. I'm a Philadelphia fan, and
Okay.
my Flyers came down here I mean, I'm sorry, my Eagles came down here to Tampa to play the Buccaneers, and they lost in the playoffs, so I had to see that from a front row seat. And then my Flyers, they haven't even made the playoffs, so
Oh gosh, yeah.
but I am excited about the hockey playoffs, and I can't wait for
Mhm,
that. But that's
mhm,
that's cool. So, talking a little bit about music, tell
mhm,
me a little bit about When I Needed You the Most, because that's one of the songs that I've listened to and I really love. And,
mhm.
we'll play the video in a second, but I want to hear kind of the backstory to that.
Yeah, thank you for asking. That one's a special one for me. I wrote that with a couple buddies, and we were just in conversation about. I'm really a pretty independent girl, and one of my buddies' wife is also. And sometimes when you're a more independent person, you don't necessarily ask for help when you need it right off the bat. Sometimes we end up. Being more like, "No, I can do it myself. I'm fine, I can do it myself." But on the inside, we're still saying, "No, come a little closer, give me a hug. I need a little love and support," but we're not gonna ask for it outright. So, we're just kinda joking around about that, and then we wrote from that place. So it's really about that. I'm married, and my sweet husband, uh, is really good about that, kind of listening to what I mean through what I say. I think, which is great. But it's kind of more about learning how to be vulnerable. That vulnerability is actually a strength and not a weakness. And so I think that's really singing to that point of, what we're even stronger when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with the people that we love.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and hear When I Needed You the Most here on Hank's Corner.
All right, thank you.
You know I can stand on my own. It's who I've had to be. And I know you love that I'm so independent, baby. When I get five mad, you don't know how to act. Well, boy, don't hold back, 'cause that's when I need you the most. When I push you away, what I really mean is stay longer. Pull me in closer, tighter, and no, I'm stubborn and strong. When I'm feeling weak and I don't want you to see, but that's when I need you the most.
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. along with my special guest Moriah Domby, and you just heard "When I Needed You the Most." So, tell me about the transition from the West Coast to Nashville as far as the music aspect of it. Like, when did you start thinking that, hey, music might be for me? How did you start developing a plan, or was it just a whim that, hey, I'm going to Nashville and let's just see what happens?
Yeah, it was part of my plan very, very early on. I've always loved music. I've been writing songs since I was this big, just sitting at the piano, making things up as I go and singing about anything I could think of. And I grew up with parents that were thankfully really, really supportive of music. My mom's it was in musical theater, and so she always had music going. And she introduced us to people like Carole King and Joni Mitchell and that kind of music, which is very singer-songwritery stuff. And my dad's the one who taught me how to play guitar, so he always had music going, listening to Tom Petty, Jackson Brown, all that kind of great singer-songwriter stuff, which really was a lot of that was West Coast originated. And then also a lot of country music. My dad grew up on a cattle ranch, and so he's no stranger to country music. And so that was alive and well. And then as I was diving into music on my own, I really gravitated towards singer-songwriters because I was writing music myself and as a preteen teenager. And really country was where my heart was the most. Anything singer-songwritery, country, or great melodies, that's where my heart would lean into. And so I really always knew my biggest goal was I'm gonna be a full-time musician. I just want to make music my life. Whatever way I can be creative in my life full-time is what I always wanted. And I remember listening to one of my favorite songs when I was little, really little, which was way beyond my head, but or over my head, I should say, but I still loved it, was Walk Away Joe by Trisha Yearwood, that song.
Yeah.
And even though that was really way over the head of a little tiny tot, for some reason I felt it still. I really felt the weight of the songwriting in that song. And I remember asking my dad, like, what's this? And as I got older, I kept listening to that song and figured out, oh, someone wrote this song as their job. That's pretty amazing. So really early on, I got that bug of like, wow, people do this. That's so cool. I'm going to figure out a way to do that. And I knew I didn't want to go to LA. No offense to LA. I actually love LA. But I wasn't really an LA girl, wasn't really a New York girl. And I wanted to be where that country music songwriting was and Christian songwriting and just where that hub was. And so I was just hell bent. Like by 18, I'm like, I'm out the door. Bye guys. I love Oregon, but I'm out of here. So I just, I was determined, and my parents were determined that I go to college and not just come out here. So that's how I got enrolled in school and majored in music business. And I'm grateful that I did do that because it helped me meet so many people and really learn a lot about the business side, which was great.
Right. And you said that you were going to get there into the music industry, no matter uh, what it took and where it was, because,
Yeah.
my understanding of you is that, you did go to school there. And I mean, you became really well rounded from like you said, the business side and the producing side. And, now you're, writing songs and you got kind of the whole package there. Tell me about that experience in school, how much it taught you, and what you walked away from it with.
Yeah, that's a great question because I would say the biggest thing I walked away from school with was community and connections to other creatives and other and even just the teachers that we had. That all of our teachers also worked in the industry at the time, and my internships I got to do. So a lot of the networking and the hands-on opportunities that I got while I was in school, that was the biggest learning, as it is in most industries, I would assume. But as far as like I'll just say this from my own personal perspective, but the couple of law classes that we had to take, which were not overall law, but like contracts and things like that, I to this day still fall back on some of those things I learned when I'm having to read something or decipher language. And things like that in the history of music industry, management, all those different business side classes really gave us a great foundation. But as you know, in podcasting world and other parts of entertainment, entertainment moves so quickly and changes so fast. You can't always necessarily rely on just the, you have to use that education as a foundation, not a end all be all, because things change so quick that by the time we graduated, things had already changed, and a year later changed again. Every year there's some sort of new way of doing things. And so I would say it gave me a foundation to build on and a community to lean on as I grew. And it taught me more than anything, I would say, how to listen to gut instincts, how to find my place, and how to let people influence me at the same time as staying strong and finding my own identity, which is really kind of a hard thing to do, actually, when you're in the arts. But I would say
Yeah.
that's what I lived with.
Yeah, definitely. If you're trying to make money from it, it kind of makes it difficult to be your own person and you have your own style. But you talked about that foundation, and one of the things that I'm learning about, because I wasn't in the music industry, and the closest I got to the entertainment is photo and video up until podcasting, but you either got to have one or two things. You really have to have a good, well-rounded foundation to be successful, or you got to have people that you trust around you that can do those things for you. And as we all see in the tabloids, a lot of people will just have that stardom and, maybe that talent, and they surround themselves with people they think that they can trust. And then it doesn't always work out that great. But for
Yeah.
those that can do it all themselves, that's what makes certain artists very successful, because they've had their hands in it and they know when it's a good thing and when to walk away. And so
Mhm.
do you find that that's kind of the case by having knowledge of all these different parts?
It's definitely served me as a blessing and just served me well many times over, I would say, because you do have to constantly be uh, feeling out the situation with the people around you of, is this someone I can trust? Is it not? And just for longevity, I would say uh, I've had so many times where I've just been so disappointed, or just really let down, or made a mistake, or made the wrong choice, and or made the right choice and somebody else let me down. I've had as many of those experiences as I've had great experiences where I'm like, wow, I just accomplished this huge thing, or wow, that went better than I even thought, or wow, I just let that dream just came true, or whatever it is. I've had an equal amount of both things. It's kind of like a rise, fall, rise, fall, rise, fall career, honestly. And it would be inaccurate if anyone would tell you that it's all like this, because it's certainly not. It's not all like this either. I mean, I would say most of the people that I see around here that have been here a while, or actually sticking it out, it's their career's a lot like this. That's a lot more common. And so when you have that foundation and you can lean on, do things on your own when you need to, that can really help go a long way in staying the course. I honestly feel like, and I just told an artist this recently that I really believe in, and someone that I write with, that she's kind of coming up right now. And I feel like the best thing you can have in the music industry, if you want longevity, whatever level that is. I'm obviously not speaking from Carrie Underwood's longevity by any means or anything like that. I'm speaking from very much a singer-songwriter's world, independent singer-songwriter genre. But I feel like a quick refresh rate is your strongest asset. If you can withstand falling on your butt and you can shake it off and get back up again, that's your biggest asset, honestly, because there's so much talent here, and there's so many lucky breaks, and there's so many unlucky, unfair things that happen, that the best thing you can do is let the good things happen and get back up and try again afterwards. Let the bad things happen and get back up and try again afterwards. And never let anything that's super, super great or super, super bad be the end all be all. The quick refresh rate, I feel like is I said it earlier, I guess, but the biggest asset in my life so far that I've found, that I've learned the hard way along the way, definitely.
Yeah, and that's definitely great advice to tell somebody, whether it's in your industry or any industry, because really, no matter where it is that the overnight successes are very rare, and some of the overnight successes lose their success just as quick overnight. So,
Mm.
to keep that balance, that's really great. And fast forward, you're putting out some, good music lately, and one of them was "Don't Make Me Say It," which I also
Mm.
really love.
Thank
And I heard that maybe you'll play that for us here on Hank's
I would love
Corner.
to. Yes, I'd be honored to do that. I would.
Great.
All right. So I wrote this song with a friend of mine, Jordan Hobson. He's great. You should look him up as well. As great singer songwriter. Um, but this song really is about, I would say, saying the hard things. There's a lot of things that come and go in life, like telling someone you're in love with them. It might be scary to do, or saying I'm sorry, or if breaking up with someone, telling someone bad news, whatever it is. There's a lot of heavy things, whether it's good or bad. And this is kind of like those moments when we feel like, gosh, I wish I have something really big to tell somebody. I wish that they would just count to 3 and they could just say it at the same time as me, so that I don't have to say it alone, basically. That's the meaning behind this song. Nothing cuts deep, makes a heart beat like I love you's, or I'm sorry's, or I'm done. Those kind of things make it hard to breathe, and nobody wants to have to be the brave one. Here with you tonight is testing what I'm made of. Come on, read my mind. Don't make me say it. Don't let me be the only one out on the line. Feeling strong, but the words are heavy. If you could share the load, it just might make it light. Meet me halfway. Don't make me say it alone. Don't make me say it. I think you know it's gotta show. I've been feeling this way such a long time now. We dance around it, avoid the topic, as if it's safe to staying on the middle ground. Well, I'm still afraid of how it's gonna sound. Come on, read my mind. Don't make me say it. Don't let me be the only one out on the line. Feeling strong, but the words are heavy. If you could share the load, it just might make it light. Meet me halfway. Don't make me say it alone. Don't make me say it alone. Read my mind. Don't make me say it. Don't let me be the only one out on the line. Feeling strong, but the words are heavy. If you could share the load, it just might make it light. Meet me halfway. Don't make me say it alone. Don't make me say it.
And that was "Don't Make Me Say It" by Moriah Domby, and, thank you for playing that here on Hank's Corner.
Thank you.
So you have mentioned a couple of times, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. Your mission work and your faith, and tell me about your faith and what it means to you, and how you came along to become a Christian.
Yeah, well, I grew up I grew up in church, and I really found a connection the most with my faith through music. I started very very young age when I was writing songs, and I wrote songs about everything that happened around me, everything that I saw, just conversations, movies I was watching, things that I felt in my heart, and just trying to figure out how to say. And so part of life was faith and figuring out God and what that meant and who that was to me. And so I wrote a lot about faith as I was writing about life. And church gave me an opportunity from a very young age to get up and sing my songs that I was writing on the piano or guitar. And I was pretty shy. I was so excited to and eager to share music I was writing, but I had good bouts of stage fright. So church was really instrumental in helping me get over that because it was such a loving place and really encouraging. So I really started to explore my faith deeper and deeper independently through music and my connection with God that way. And so I just continued through high school like that, and singing at pancake breakfasts and things like that. And it was important to me when I moved away to college that I find a church and find a place to get plugged into. And this is my own journey. I'm not saying other people have to be plugged into a church to have a faith journey at all, but for me, the community was really something important to me because I love faith through action. Opportunities to get your hands in there and touch and love on people. And so that's why I love food ministries. I love music ministries. I love ways that people can just love on each other in a big way. And so, anyways, it's just always been part of my life, and I've got thankfully been able to just continue on with music ministry, writing music, and for a church here in Nashville, and singing there, and leading a youth choir, and writing for them. And so it's been something I just always have done. To me, I've never felt like I'm a Christian writer necessarily. I just feel like I'm a Christian and I'm a writer. So I just write about love. I write about relationships. I write about breakups. I write about heartbreak. I write about fun summer things. I write about God. I write about whatever's going on around me. So, and faith is just really a big part of my life.
Yeah, and you mentioned you write about all those things because that's all those things that you're involved in and things that happen to you. But I did see on one of your posts that you did mention a little bit that you kind of keep the country music's kind of separate from the Christian music, and you know, there's pros and cons to that. But I'm curious. Tell me, has there been any doors closed because of the Christian faith, and has there been any doors that have been opened because of it?
I wouldn't say any have closed necessarily, but I have just through let's think of the most delicate way to say it, but I would say like just music industry. There's as is with every genre, there's like great things that happen and not so great things that happen behind the scenes on no matter what genre you're in because it's business. And so I always felt a little protective when I was I worked in publishing. I saw, a lot of the back end of things. um I always just kind of kept, because faith was such ingrained in me as part of my spiritual practice. It was something that I did, growing up, and it's one of the ways that I'd feel like God kind of created us all and created us to be creative, and in lots of different ways. And I hear people say, I'm not creative. I always think, yeah, you are. You're creative in some sort of way, whether it's cooking dinner for your family or whether it's, noticing leaves change in the trees. We all have some sort of creative streak in us. And I think that's one of the ways that we're able to connect with each other. And I think that's one of the ways God talks to us and inspires us. So, anyways, it's just something that's very sacred to me. And I just never wanted to. I used to feel as though I never wanted to let business and the business side and my spiritual side intertwine too much, just out of protection for that spirit side, because that's the way I refill myself. That's the way I recharge myself. That's the way I stay inspired to do other creative ventures. So I just kind of wanted to protect that, almost like if you have like a secret spot you like to hike to, and you don't want to tell all your friends because you don't want too many people to find it and then show up and it's filled with people. It's like you want to keep it empty and full of just nature, if that makes sense. Or the best,
Yeah,
you find that coffee shop, you don't want to tell everyone because you don't want it to get too crowded.
yeah, photographers are the same way. We don't always share, our good spots that we like to take pictures
Yeah,
at.
I
But I
like to
do
tell people about God. So I'm not saying I don't like to tell people about Christianity and God, but I, as far as just like keeping the music part separate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's understandable. And the reason why I ask is, from the outset of it, I've always thought of country music as being the closest thing that does intertwine with gospel or just the
Mhm.
Christian music. Other genres, if it's pop or if it's rap or hip hop, they kind of have like their regular, and then they have the Christian. But then in
Right.
the country, you have a lot of overlapping, from as early back as Elvis and Johnny Cash through
Mhm.
all the way, like you mentioned, Carrie Underwood and Alan Jackson of recent times, who kind of do a little bit of both. So I'm always just curious on,
Yeah.
how artists have to kind of deal with that. But one of the songs that you recently come out with is a Christian song called King Among Us.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and play that, and then when we come back, you talk a little bit about that.
Awesome. Oh, thank you.
I strain my eyes above the crowd, trade my doubt for expectation. I've heard
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. along with my special guest Moriah Domby, and you just heard "King Among Us." So, tell us a quick little backstory about how you came up with that song.
Yeah, thank you. So I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier that I so often I didn't try to make a venture into the business side of Christian music. I kept it at the church and sharing it, but I just never really I wasn't like pitching Christian songs or anything like that. It was mostly just spiritual practice, and but I found myself because I write at a church now here in Nashville and stuff. I'm playing this stuff more and more and more and more, and kind of I got re in touch with some of these songs that I was writing. I was feeling really called and inspired to share it with more people than just the church I was at, or just and I play them out at certain events and stuff too. But I was just feeling like, I because like I said before, I am writing about life, and Christian music and country music very much have space for each other, which is great. I started to kind of feel a little bit of a shift in me of um, well, it's not separate in my life, and why not put, people put out Christmas songs, while they put out, a rap song or whatever too. And so I feel like I felt a little bit more called and stirred to do a little bit of both, and why not? And now that's one of those great things about the way the industry is now. There's so much. I think people get excited to hear lots of different sides to people, and can venture in and listen to lots of different things. So I wrote this song. This is one I wrote by myself for Palm Sunday last year, and I wrote it to play for the youth Palm Sunday event, and it's one that I just like to pick around a lot. And Easter was coming up, and Palm Sunday is one of my favorite stories in the Bible. I just love the way that Jesus shows up very differently than what the people expect him to do. And right now, the way things are right now, I think there's a lot of people that are disillusioned by leadership and feel like they maybe don't see themselves in leadership in different ways. And Palm Sunday is such a great reminder that Jesus as a leader is someone who is peaceful and loving, and here showing that strength in peace and love. There's a lot of strength in peace and love, and there's a lot of strength in showing up for people without the pomp and circumstance, without needing to bolster yourself and make yourself bigger and than others. There's a lot to be said for riding into the middle of where meeting people where they're at, the way that they are. And I love that about Jesus as a leader. And Palm Sunday really shows that in such a great way. So I wrote this song about that. I wrote it about Palm Sunday, and I released it on Good Friday this year. And yeah. I
And
hope that
that's
answered
well
the
said.
question. That was kind of long, meandering. Sorry.
No, it was actually well said, answered the question and more. But isn't that great about, kind of being an independent artist, but also having social media to where, yeah, you can have your main stuff, but hey, I can put something out for the public to see on social media that, before it had to be on an album, or, it had
Right.
to get airplay. And now you can put it out there and people can enjoy it without, having to have the album or whatever it was before.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the great things about technology that you
It
can you can
is.
you can say.
You asked me earlier if that there had ever been any doors closed or doors opened based on kind of that faith side of myself, and I would say one of the closest that would be a door closes. I was told early on very specifically, and I don't know that people are saying this as much now in the industry, but at the time, very much like pick a lane and go with it. Dress the same all the time, sing exactly the same all the time. Songs need to sound the same. You need to pick a lane and run with it. There's a lot of discouragement of I even had a couple people tell me, well, you're either a singer or you're a songwriter. I'm like, well, I'm a singer songwriter. It's like, wait a second, you can be both, and that's one of the strengths of country music. So that was very much kind of pushed on me early on, of like, okay, well, you're either country or you're Christian, or you're either country or you're pop. You're one or the other. You're not being a mixture of things was not as encouraged. But I think some of the people that I grew up listening to, the great people that I loved so much, were mixtures of multiple types of genres, and that's what made them really resonate with my heart so much. So that was one area. Now I don't care about that as much. I think there's a lot more room, and I don't care as much about what other people, their opinions. I appreciate people's opinions, and I'm grateful for anyone that's wiser than me to share their thoughts with me. But I think that there's more room, like you said, there's more room now to share lots of sides of yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And you talk about that. Does it still happen? And it does. And one of my recent guests that I had on, I say recent, it's been a little while, but Aaron Tanner was on my show, and he kind of described the same thing.
Mhm.
And Aaron, forgive me if I get your title backwards, but he had a song, based on that kind of circumstances, that he was directly told that
Yeah.
he was too country for the church, but too churchy for the bar, something. And I'm sorry,
Right.
Aaron, I got to go back and get your actual song. I know I butchered that, but it's a great song, and it just basically talks about that if you
Yeah.
get a chance, go on his social and look that up. But
Absolutely.
uh,
I'll do that after this.
so so tell me a little bit about some of the plans that you have for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I've got a lot of shows coming up, so this summer is going to be pretty busy. I'm putting a song out in June, and another single out in June. I just put out "King Among Us," and so I'm putting a song out in June, which I'm really excited about. It's the release day, June 24th, I believe it is. I'm releasing a song the same day as two of my co-writers, and the three of us wrote the song I'm releasing, and the three of us wrote each of their singles. So we're all three releasing a song on the same day that all three of us wrote. So I'm looking forward to doing that with them. We got I'll be in Chicago and Indianapolis, and a couple different places, Knoxville, I believe. I'll be in a couple of different places throughout June. And then July, I'll be heading to the UK, which I'm
Oh,
really
wow.
excited to be playing some shows in the UK in July. So I'm thrilled. I haven't gotten a chance to do that yet. So that's been on my bucket list, to get over there and play some shows. So I'm really excited. I actually haven't said that out. This is the first time I've said it out loud to anyone. So yay, I'm excited I'm coming to the UK. So I'm really thrilled. I've got a lot of great shows that I'm just excited about this summer. And then putting out the song June 24th. And so lots of stuff coming up this summer. And I'll have some more music after touring a little bit in the summer. I'll be releasing some more music in the fall as well. So lots coming up.
Yeah, so stay tuned for all that. Moriah definitely has a lot of stuff coming out, and you can be sure that anytime you have a new song coming out, I'm going to be posting it as part of my new Music Friday post. So you
Thank
definitely
you so
can
much.
see that. But you had mentioned offline that you do have something that you might be willing to give away. So why don't you go ahead and show us what you have there?
Well, I am excited to share my one of my t-shirts here. So this is one of my tees that I usually only sell. This one's not even online right now. I only sell it at live shows. So I would love to give that away to any listeners that are interested. And you can find me on Spotify. So go ahead and follow me there. On Facebook, I'm Moriah Domby Music on Facebook, at Moriah Joe on Instagram. So find me all those places, and I'd love to give one of my shirts away. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know if you can
Yes.
even see it very well, but
Yeah, so if you're watching this podcast and you made it to the end, congratulations. I'm glad when people make it to the end of my podcast. And so if you're seeing this, then I guess what, just either comment here on the comments and tag Mariah, and maybe you'll be one of the lucky ones to get a t-shirt.
yeah, if
But
you want to
thank
share my socials with your friends, tag this podcast, and either in the comments here, or tag this podcast and me on your socials to share with your friends, and we can pick a random one from the draw.
That's awesome. Thank you for doing that. So yeah, definitely follow Mariah on her socials, and you can find her at mariahdomby.com. And before we go, I'm going to go ahead and just at the end of the thing play Could Have Tried, because I got to have that as the ending song. But before we do that, just want to say thank you so much for coming on Hank's Corner, and thank you for sharing your story, both musically and your path to Christianity. And anytime you ever want to be a guest, you're more than welcome to here on Hank's Corner.
Thank you, Hank. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you for talking with me today.
Maybe it was the innocence we didn't know we were living in that made it easy to love hard, but a town over feel too far. 'Cause that was that. We never looked back, and I kinda let you disappear, except for every year when it's 75 and the air is dry. A couple more weeks before the summer sets in gets me thinking, always gets me thinking, baby, if instead I left, you chose right, came running back down the streets of that town into my life. We could have failed, but we could have tried. We could have been happy. I remember us laughing. Can't imagine ever giving that up, but who knows, maybe I would have messed it up. And 10 years down the line, still be standing where I am now. When it's 75 and the air is dry, a couple more weeks before the summer sets in gets me thinking, always gets me thinking, baby, if instead I left, you chose right, came running back down the streets of that town into my life. We could have failed, but we could have tried. We could have been. No regrets, digging in, taking the chance to fall. A little bit of something's better than nothing at all. Always gets me thinking, baby, if instead I left, you chose right, came running back down the streets of that town. Instead you only come around when it's 75 and the air is dry. A couple more weeks before the summer sets in gets me thinking, always gets me thinking, baby, if instead I left, you chose right, came running back down the streets of that town into my life. We could have failed, but we could have tried.